Howdy, everyone, and we are live. And when I mean everyone, I mean Gemini Moon, because she's the only person in the chat right now. Hey there, Gemini. How is she doing? How are you? I'm good. All right, folks. So tonight's show, I am the host. My name is Donny Cho of Donny Cho Says Stuff. And tonight we are going to be celebrating my conversion, folks. I've converted to a new religion. That's right. Because no longer is Donnie a Buddhist. No. That damn religion for them ornamentals. No. I ain't doing that no more. Now I am a full-blooded Christian. And that's right. And let me show you something, folks. Ever since I've turned over to the Bible, guess what's happened? That's right. Last time I converted, I only had 307 subscribers. Now I got 311. I went up by 4 subscribers. Fuck yeah. That's right, folks. When you turn yourself over to the Bible and to Jesus and do a paranormal cryptid show, oh, them motherfuckers be showing up. They be showing up, and pretty soon I'll be getting to that 4,000 minimum. For getting that super chat money. Oh, yeah. So let's say hi to everyone in the chats. Who's in the chats right now? It's just Gemini Moon. Hey, Gemini. Hi. Nobody else. But don't worry. They're coming, folks. Because now as a Christian, once we start talking about Bigfoot and Dogman, and we just tell people all they need is the Lord, all that super chat money is going to be coming in. I could be the biggest scumbag in the universe, but it don't matter because these gullible ass motherfuckers, they just love them Jesus talk with that Bigfoot talk and that Dogman talk. So no more Church of Dogman for me. No sirree. Donny Cho is now a full-blooded Christian. And now comes, wow, fuck yeah, 311 subs. I went up by 4 subs, folks. 4 subs. And there's Canadummy. Canadummy's coming hot into the chats to celebrate his host, Donny Cho's newfound conversion to the faith that is Christianity. Oh, I think we got some more people. We got more people in the chats, folks, coming in. So, yes. I want to just recap a few weeks ago. You know, Donny Cho was a bit down on himself. He only had 307 subs after almost a year of doing this shit. But guess what? Now I've got 311 subs. I went up by 4 subs. And it's because I've turned my life over to Christianity. Now, all I got to say is every time you encounter some Bigfoot or some Dogman, all you got to do is pray to Jesus. And just to show you my faith and my faithfulness, I am going to start my own prayer list. So, I've started a prayer list here. It's called Donny's Prayer List. And what I'm praying for, guys, for my loyal subs, I'm praying for +1 penis inches. That's right. Now, let's see who's in the chat. Canadummy, do you want to be on my prayer list, Canadummy? As a matter of fact, that's what I'll do. You're going to be on my prayer list, and I am going to give you +1 penis inches. All right. Let's see, Gemini Moon. Well, Gemini, I would ask you if you want to be on my prayer list, but I think you're not the penis having sort. So I don't think this prayer applies to you, but you never know. So does anyone else here in the chat would like to be on my prayer list so I could pray for you? Guys, because I'm such a good Christian, I'm going to pray for my friends. I'm going to pray that Tex gets +1 penis inches. That's right, because I'm generous like that. We're all united in Christ here, right? United in Bigfoot and Dogman and Jesus. Let's get Randy up there. Let's make his dick 1 inch bigger. How about that? Oh, BMR. We'll get BMR, get that +1 penis inches. Oh, I got to pray for myself after all. I would like that +1 penis inch. All right, let's see who else gets that +1 penis itch. Is there anyone else here in the chat that would like to join my prayer list, folks? Together in Christ.
What are you doing?
Oh, hey there. Hey there, Brother McLean. Hey, folks. We got a special treat for y'alls. We got 2 Christians up in here. We Christian as fuck right now. Yeah.
What are you doing, Donald?
Well, I'm here for them super chats is what I'm doing, Jason McLean.
You're not even monetized, Donnie. You're not even monetized. What are you
getting
doing?
Closer. We got 4 subs closer to 4,000. Fuck yeah.
And another 3,899 subs you can monetize. Wonderful. Also, there's a certain amount of time. I forget off the top of my head, but yeah, you're nowhere near. What are you doing? What are you doing, dude?
Well, I'll tell you what I'm about to do right now, Brother McLean. I'm about to add you to my prayer list. That's
you're
right.
No, stop.
You're getting that +1 penis inch.
Look, don't put your baggage on me, man.
What?
What are you doing? What is with all this?
You don't want +1 penis inch?
That's not how any of this works. And you know that. So
you don't want to be part of my prayer list?
What are you doing? What are you doing?
Oh,
what are you doing
here,
Donnie? By the way, so I watched the last episode. I know, first of all, if you're good, you're telling people what you're doing. That you're doing this for subs and likes and clicks and super chats, which makes no sense because you're not even monetized.
Well, I'm getting there.
Why? Well, you're not getting there. You lost like 4, and then you went up a few more. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing here, Donnie? What is your grand plan here?
Well, you and we know the same people. We've seen the same shows. We've seen them YouTube folk, them cryptid Bigfoot YouTube folk. What do? They go on their show and they talk about Bigfoot and Dogman. And what do they say? They say, I'm a Christian. And guess what? That works. It works, Brother McLean.
So here's the thing. I cannot argue that there aren't a lot of people running around misrepresenting Jesus and using that to make money. I can't argue that. But you're not that person, Donnie. You're a lot of things, most of them not good, but you're not that bad. What are you doing here? What is the grand plan here?
Just hold that thought, Brother McLean. Just hold that thought. Because we have a new guest arrive. Hold on. Mr. Anderson has been joined on my prayer list. He too shall have +1 penis inch.
You forgot the 001.
Oh, yeah. 001.
So let me get this straight. You think that adopting a fake Southern accent and talking about Jesus is going to suddenly make people, they're going to buy it? Is that the plan here?
Well, you see these people, Jason McLean, they're gullible as fuck. Obviously. You know about that one dude, right? We're not going to name any names or anything, but you know about that one dude. Goes around saying he's all Christian and shit. And behind the camera, what is he like? That dude a molester.
Yep.
We know about that one other guy who's a straight up wife beater. But then he comes on his show, talks about the Nephilim and the Old Testament, talking them Bible quotes. And guess what? Oh, he got that super chats. Why don't Donny Cho deserve some of that super chat money, Jason McLean? Does Donny Cho not deserve some of that super chat money? I don't go molesting.
You haven't earned that super chat money. And here's the thing though, dude, at the end of the day, you're not the kind of guy who's just going to go ahead and manipulate people for fans. You want to genuinely entertain them. You don't want to be one of these jagoffs that are running around manipulating people, preying on their weaknesses, artificially creating some weird digital cult where the people are just believing things off the top of that comes off the top of their heads. You are trying to create a quality show. Now, that quality show is trash. I agree with you. But it's what you're trying to do. You're actually trying to build something organically. Don't give in to cheap theatrics. You're better than this.
This isn't theatrics. This is genuine. Look at this prayer list I've started for my fans, for my flock.
Well,
We got
okay,
Mr. Anderson. We got Tex. You could be on this list too, Brother McLean. Don't you want +1 penis inch?
don't put your damage on me, boy. Here's the thing. You're telling people that you're trying to scam them. Like, at least, I mean, if you're going to try and scam people, I figured you'd be smart enough not to tell them that you're scamming them.
I'm not scamming nobody. What I'm doing is I'm offering them an opportunity to express their gratitude for
With
someone who
money?
will tell people the truth that you can defeat Bigfoot by praying to Jesus. That's all it takes. Don't you agree?
And of course, your advice will come in the form of money, right? Like they give you money and you'll tell them the secrets.
Tokens of gratitude, my friend. Tokens of gratitude.
AJK Retrospective Vault would like to be added to your list. By the way.
Oh, we got to add AJK to the prayer list. He's going to get +1 penis inch.
That's just not how this works, though. You know that. I mean, I know you're okay. So you claim that you've left Buddhism, and I'd be okay with that. But that's not how this works. You grew up. Your parents are Christian. You're fairly well versed in this. You know that that's not how this works. I mean, I know Randy probably believes that this is legitimate, but I mean, everyone else knows that you're not. It's clear that you're just trying to scam people, and you're doing a bad job of it because you're telling them that you're scamming them, because you're telling them it's about chats and it's about the money, or it's about monetizing and adding more subs. I mean, at least while I completely don't respect these trash people who are manipulating people by lying about scripture, they're at least trying to pretend, they're at least doing a good job of being a scammer. I can respect that. But you're just even lying about it. You're just telling them.
So you do agree that they're trying to scam people?
Donny, let me be real clear with you right now.
Okay.
You're going to deconvert back to the Church of Dogman because you're a terrible Christian. Your accent is awful. And yes, these other people are just straight up scammers. It's very clear they're straight up scammers. They're only slightly better than what you're doing, because it's obvious that's what they're doing, because like you said, they're wife beaters. They do. And it's like, it's one thing to have had a past. It's another thing to actually just still be doing it. To be a straight up occultist half the time. To lie and to go out and deceive people knowingly. To steal people's ideas without giving them. Well, Randy, we know, but you know Donny. So I'm just saying, go back, deconvert, go back to the Church of Dogman. At least Dogman got you a PlayStation.
For the record, folks, this is Jason McLean, bona fide Christian, who's telling another Christian to stop being Christian.
No, I'm telling a scammer to get the hell out of my.
And I think for Christianity's sake, I might have to return to the Church of Dogman, return back to being its Pope. I'm not going to drop the accent though. I like doing this accent. This accent's too fun.
The accent is awful.
It's fun. Okay, how about this? Why don't you try doing an Asian accent then?
Because I'm white, and that will get me canceled immediately.
Yeah, I got non-white privilege, baby. Non-white privilege.
Yeah, no, you do. But yeah, I mean, seriously. And can we drop the kayfabe for a second?
Okay, yeah.
All right.
See, I'm talking normal now. Now I've returned back to New Jersey.
You've gone back to Jersey, Donny.
Yeah, I'm back to New Jersey, folks.
I know that. I'd like to think, let me phrase it that way, that most of your viewers actually get what you've been doing with this. I mean, you think most people got it, right? Or do I need? I should probably explain it to Randy, right?
Well, if they don't got it, then they don't their patronage doesn't interest me to begin with. So
So explain it to Randy. Anyway, but you're the point that you were making, I think, is quite valid. Honestly, like this is the one thing that's really just been pissing me off. Not
Mm-hmm.
Randy. Randy's fine. I'm used to him. Is the last few years. I mean, there's always people who are going through a hard time, but the last few years have been really hard on a lot of people, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And there's so many people who are running around, like you said, they're trash people. And again, it's not just the internet. Let's be honest. This has always been the thing. There's always someone willing to put on a suit and tie or put on a fake accent and find some way to manipulate people using the name of Jesus for money and power and profit. And it's just sort of obvious for a lot of people here in the Bigfoot community. There are people who run around claiming to be these things, even though while they were claiming to be Christians, they were selling drugs and being pimps and
being like
their
all
wives.
scummy with like women and shit, and being all
Yep.
like creepy and creeping up on like women's phones. And I'm like, really? And then you're gonna have this Christian gimmick as a Bigfoot dogman podcaster, and people don't see this shit. That's the thing that impressed me the most when I first encountered it, is the fact that more people don't see past that. Really, we're all adults here. You should be wise enough to see past that, through all that bullshit, right?
Well, the problem is most people only see what they want, what people want to see. It's and that's the problem, man. It's like for those of us, I had my channel taken down at one point because, and again, not the questions everything Siru Papers, the purely Christian site. I had my thing taken down, or let me phrase this: YouTube took it down. I had to fight to get it back. They'll go after Christians because those of us who are trying, there's a lot of us are out here trying to do the right thing and not make money off of it. And it's just so hard. It's so hard to have these people wandering around and essentially creating their own little cults, even though it's clear they know nothing about what they're talking about. It's clear they're manipulating people, and yet they still get the views. And it's heartbreaking because you have these people who will run, like, I'll name one name. It's a little different. It's a little different. This is a different kind of person.
Okay.
So he's not necessarily a podcaster that anyone, but this dude's name's Billy Carson, right? He's this guy who's running around claiming to be an academic.
Oh, I know that guy. That guy's all over Gaia TV.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Right. And he'll talk, and he'll sit there and he'll talk about things like the Emerald Tablets of Thoth or the Gospel of the Holy 12. All of it's BS. Complete crap.
The Emerald Tablets?
Yeah.
People love to eat up that Emerald Tablets esoteric shit.
Right.
You know? They love all that shit.
What I love is, oh, yeah, it's these Emerald Tablets that was found by one guy in the 1920s in Egypt. He went there by himself. No one saw him. Found a secret chamber in the Great Pyramid that no one else has ever found or seen. Took the tablets that got him out of the country back to the U.S., decrypted a 20,000-year-old language that no one had ever seen before, and showed nobody. Those tablets, that's the story.
Mm-hmm.
That's the story everyone wants to believe. The Gospel of the Holy 12, we know for a fact, is a 20th century forgery. That's not even a question. It was a straight up forgery, and people are still. He's walking around like it's a real thing, and people believe him. But the thing is, it's easy to point to him because it's all right there. It's so obvious what he's doing.
Yeah, but then people see him as, oh, this motherfucker got all this ancient knowledge and shit. This dude studied all that ancient shit. Damn. This motherfucker, we gotta sit down and listen to this motherfucker. Damn. But I mean, that's what it is, right?
No, it's what it is because he just sounds confident saying it. And then and the problem is, a lot of these people are doing the exact same thing. They're just making crap up.
Well, I mean, I figured out what they're doing, okay? They'll bring up, oh, shit, Bigfoot Dogman, so scary. And then what they'll do is they'll drop like a Genesis 6 like quote, right? Or they'll drop a Bible verse where it's like Genesis 6, and they're like, but you know what, guys? Bigfoot and Dogman, what it really is, they's Nephilim. And it says so right here in Genesis 6. And then you see all the Christian people be like, Amen, brother, amen. This guy's the truth. He's saying the truth right now. And I'm like, really?
You know what bothers me about how quickly everyone goes to Genesis 6 is, and again, I've talked about Nephilim a lot.
Yeah.
I've written books on this stuff. My thing is this. They use it as a catch-all for anything and everything as a way of saying, well, you can't say that's not real because of this. Well, because of Genesis 6. Can you tell me what the context was of Genesis 6? Can you tell me anything about it outside of the fact that it exists, outside of where it's from? Where are the correlations? How did we, what other times are the Nephilim mentioned? I'm happy to say that maybe there's some weird things out here. I can explain why I think there's some weird things out here, and I can use the scriptures for it. But these people just say, I'm going to take this verse, your turtle dove. Can you please put it up? Your turtle dove, I think was my favorite bit.
All right, let's start with the verse, right? Was it Genesis 15:9? And by the way, there's zero context in this verse. You're going to have to explain some of this context here. But it says, and he said unto him, take me a heifer of 3 years old, she goat of 3 years old, and a ram of 3 years old, and a turtle dove, and a young pigeon. And I was like, what in the fuck is a turtle dove? Could that be the new cryptid that the Bible is mentioning? And then I brought this shit up. That's right. A turtle dove. That's way more impressive than Mothman, if you ask me.
Mothman steals people's catalytic converters. So, I mean,
but yeah, so wait, real quick, Jason, explain to me the context of this verse, because I'm curious now.
Yeah, this is a contract between God and Abraham.
Okay.
And it's a contract. And back in the day, there were animal sacrifices that were used as seals of the contract. Again, there's a lot of conversation about what each animal represents, like why the heifer has to be 3 years old, that kind of thing. But a turtle dove is just, again, we all know what turtle doves are.
What's a turtle dove?
It's a species of dove. That's all it is.
But why turtle dove? Does it have a shell?
No, it does not have a shell. But that's
why turtles though? Is it like a dove that only eats turtles or something?
No. They have again, this is 3,000 years ago, and really, truth be told, the English translation of it is coming from it's the closest thing the English word had for it at the time. It's just a type of dove. That's all it is. They have rings around their necks, so like a turtleneck kind of a thing. That's all it is.
Well, like this kind of dove, Jason?
No, that's a Koopa.
Okay, just making sure. Anyway, continue.
But again, that was my favorite bit, because that's what they do. That's what these people are doing. They will simply take verses out of context and use it for whatever harebrained, complete insanity they want to throw out there, and people will, oh, well, it's from the Bible, because they know that people aren't going to look at it. Now, don't get me wrong, that's still on the people, right? Why aren't you checking this stuff for yourself? Well, you literally have not all, because Google won't let you have all of it, but just little, at least do a fact check real quick on this stuff. And it's hard. It's so hard, because the fruits of the Spirit, right? If you're a Christian, it's love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Those are the fruits of the Spirit. And you see these people running around with none of that.
Right.
It's none of it. And yet everyone's like, yeah, these people are, they're a good man of God. Sure, this guy was just drug off to jail for selling drugs to kids, but he's a good Christian man. No, he's not. Like, stop giving these people money. They're just milking people. It's
just disgusting. Because someone talks about Christianity on a public forum doesn't mean that they're such a good person.
Well, and it's hard. Again, charlatans always always end up hurting the real things, right? By the way, don't kill the June bug. Just throw him back outside.
No, I
The
was gonna
June bugs are
say,
fine.
destroy that motherfucker.
Well, if you have enough of them, I guess you could eat them. But I'm just saying,
Destroy
if it's
it.
just one, oh, throw him out there. He's fine.
Crush your enemies. You should go introduce that June bug to Jesus.
Oh, the June bug already knows. The June bug knows. Oh, if you're on the porch outside, then you're fine. Then he's fine.
Send that June bug to heaven. Anyway,
it's part of the ecosystem. Let him live out his life. Unless you want to use them as bait. They're actually, grubs are great bait for fishing.
Oh, he walked the other way. He knew.
Yep.
Anyway.
But it's, the problem is, this is trying real hard here, Ringo. And it's not about me. Because it's not. I don't care if anybody remembers my name at all. What bothers me is you have these people running around milking people out of their money. And they're just looking for a little bit of hope. They're just looking for a little bit of community. They're just looking for a little bit of support. And yet they'll sit here and say, well, I'll pray for you. Give me money. I'll pray. I'll show you how to deal with Bigfoot. Give me money. What's the point of that? What is that? Why are you actively manipulating people? I get it. I think if you're probably the kind of person to manipulate people for money, and you're going to use the name of Jesus to do it, you probably already don't have a conscience. But why is it so easy? I guess that's the other problem, is why is it so easy for people to buy into it? Again, I get Randy buying into it, but it's so frustrating when you're out here trying to do the right thing, trying to really come with answers, trying to bring truth here. And then you have these schmucks like and they're just running around hurting people. It's all they do. They love to sow division. And they only post about God when it's convenient for them. When they get into trouble, when someone calls their ass out, all of a sudden they're a Christian real fast.
Yeah. Well, that's how they get followers. That's how they get, loyalty from people, right? That's how they get credibility.
I have always taken the the scripture warns. It warns that if you teach, God's going to hold you far more accountable. And so it's not just that I'm frustrated or trust me. It's not about, oh, you're just jealous. No, I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be recognized at places. I've been recognized at places. I don't want to be. Because it's nuts. But I'm worried about them also, because it's like God's going to, he's going to hold you accountable for what you're saying here. Why are you even now? I guess the question is, do they even really? I guess clearly they don't really believe what they're teaching, considering what they're doing. A lot of these people. What's your reading on the situation?
Okay, so I have a different. I mean, I guess it's different types, right? Because there are those charlatans who would exploit other people's faith, right, to use them. But I think there's another subset or subgroup of that category where it's people who genuinely believe what they're saying, one.
Yeah.
And two, they genuinely see themselves as saved or as Christians, right? However, my view has always been, but they have zero fucking spiritual discipline whatsoever.
Yep.
Zero spiritual discipline. And here's what I mean. Let me give you an example, okay? I've got a friend whose mom, right?
Yeah.
This lady, she's she calls herself a Christian, but through her Christian mindset, she's all about like Nephilim and the world government, and we're in the end times and Revelation. But also, this lady's a complete shut-in. She's got like zero friends. she's like ruined all of her kids' lives by being like a really shitty mom, like
Yeah.
immoral in a lot of ways. And she's on like all sorts of self-medication. She puts in like zero effort to like actually live as a Christian. But keep in mind, I do believe she believes what she is saying, and I do believe she sees herself as a Christian.
So
But
self-delusion.
yeah.
Yeah. No, and I think that's fair. I think there's probably a lot of people who are just self-deluded. I'm more frustrated. Like, again, you can, and I think you can kind of tell who those people are because you can usually tell the people who are self-deluded. But then you have these people who are just straight up scumbags.
Straight up.
And they don't even necessarily, like, they hide it only a little bit. Like, they're not even really trying all that hard to hide their scumbaggedness. And yet, there you have it. They're just out there, and they love to throw Jesus's name around.
And for me, for those people, what bugs me the most about that example is not so much they themselves, it's the people in the chats where you're like,
Yeah.
some of these people, I'm like, I actually know that person, sorta, and I actually kind of respect their intelligence. Why are you falling for this shit, man? Come on. Have more discernment. Really?
Well, and I think even a lot of these, there's a lot of phrases out there that get misused. Like, again, you are using the word discernment correctly. Actually, this is probably a conversation that Texas wanted to have for a while about spiritual discernment. The problem is, I think a lot of people think it's just feeling, right? Like, we've had people on Texas Front Porch who are like, "Oh, no, I can feel it. I've got the gift of spiritual. I can feel the truth." And it's like, you're telling me you're talking to aliens telepathically, and you can tell they're not lying to you because you can feel it. Really? But that's the problem. We've made it like, oh, well, it feels real, therefore it must be, I'm spiritually discerned. That's not anything scriptural. It is mental. It is wisdom. It is seeking something out. It's not a feeling or a vibe. It's not spider sense. But people just, I mean, maybe it's just the fact that humans have always been gullible, I think is part of the problem. I mean, throughout time, it's not like people haven't run around scamming people. And religion's a very easy way to do it. You would just hope that people would, double check at least a couple of things. It makes it harder for all the rest of us who are out here trying to do the right thing and trying to prove the point here. This is not a game. Your eternal salvation is not a game.
But you know what? They like thinking and talking about the paranormal and the supernatural and the Fortean topics, and they're so self-convicted, right, in their own religious worldview, and they like to mash that shit together, right?
Yep.
You know, one of the things I mentioned was one of my things here. Hold on. Let me bring up an old slide here. Right, this one. Don't worry about putting in actual effort into being a Christian. Going to church, that's for suckers, right? Because here's the thing, right? You don't have to be, everyone knows you don't have to be going to church to be a Christian, right? Just because you don't go to church does not mean that you're not a Christian, and vice versa, right? Just because you are a churchgoer doesn't mean that you are a Christian, right?
Correct, yeah.
But a lot of these people in these chats and on these shows, when they get all Jesus-y, what's the one commonality that you notice? None of these motherfuckers go to church. Now, I'm not saying, again, that's not like a direct correlation or nothing, but it's at least a reflection of people at least trying to live the life, or at least trying to walk the walk, right? It's one of the things I respect about you and Tony Merkel, because I kind of know him. Name drop. Oh yeah, name drop.
See, now we're back to the Donny I like.
Okay, anyway, the difference between you and Tony is that you guys off camera, outside of all this, are still like living as Christians. But then a lot of these motherfuckers in the chats and in the shows, as soon as they're out, they're no longer talking about Nephilim and Bigfoot and Jesus. As soon as they're back into their own lives, these motherfuckers ain't going to church because they can't be bothered. They can't be bothered because they just like being in their own little world.
I'm often the one to say the number one place people hide from God is in a church. Because again, the self-delusion thing, right?
Yeah.
But and again, I did a whole during COVID, I did a whole Sunday school for people who couldn't go. That was the whole point.
Yeah.
But, and don't even get me started on that. But I have noticed that it's like, well, I don't go to a church because okay. If you're rejecting going to church, I found that tends to be that's a bigger you problem. But like you said, that's the whole point, right? They can't be bothered to go. It isn't, I have a health condition or I can't because of, I'm because they're homebound, or there isn't a church in their area that's legitimate. Like they're all, because look, I'm be the first one to say there's a lot of bad churches running around out there right now.
Yeah.
Right. There's a lot of, there's a lot of, and I know we'll probably talk about it more in depth. There's a lot of these, people want to call them woke churches, but it's more than that. They are, progressive Christians, right? These progressive Christian churches. And I would suggest they're not Christian at all. They're just straight, they're not even, they are doing pretty much the exact same thing that these podcasters that we're talking about are doing. It's all song and dance. It's all flash and give me your cash, but no substance. There's no, if you walk out of, again, you shouldn't walk out of every church service feeling like crap, because again, that tells me then you're doing something wrong here. Right.
Yeah.
But it's amazing how often a lot of these progressive churches, no one's ever done anything wrong in their lives. It's the Buddy Christ syndrome. Jesus just over there. Hey, all their songs are, I love Jesus. He's my pimp daddy. And I've never done anything wrong because he doesn't see anything wrong with me ever. He only wants me to be happy and wealthy. And he
protects us from dog man. He keeps us safe. Yeah.
Nothing bad will ever happen in my life because I'm a Christian. Like, I get it. You've never actually read the Bible. I get that. Okay. There's an easier way to say that. But you know what? I mean, again, I think just because this is how people have always been in a lot of ways. It's always easy to say, oh, things were better back in the day, only by degrees. It's only by degrees. I think people have always been this way. It's so hard when it's in your freaking face all the time. It's all these people who are, again, if you have a platform, fine. You want to talk about things. There's a lot of people. Inspiring philosophy. I don't agree with him on everything, but he does the work. I agree with a lot of what he's done. He's built a platform, but he's not clout chasing. Like he's not, that's not what he's doing. There's a lot of people who are out there doing the same things, but it's clear that it's coming from a place of truth.
Right.
Right. It's coming from a place of sincerity. But then you have these other people who are just, again, they only seem to be Christian when it's advantageous for them. They've never held a truly controversial position in their lives. They love to start their posts with, oh, I know this is controversial, but. And no one who's ever started a post like that has ever said anything controversial ever. It's always like some bare minimum thing for being a decent human being.
I will disagree with that one point.
Okay.
I have started a post saying I'm about to say something controversial, and then what preceded was actually controversial. Just saying.
What'd you say?
Do I have to? Okay, fine. Okay, we'll go there.
Mm-hmm.
I think Mackenzie is a really dumb fucking name for white girls, and every time I meet a white girl named Mackenzie, that name annoys me. It's obnoxious and it's dumb. Who the fuck thought Mackenzie was a girl's name?
See, that's not controversial. That's just
every time I meet a white girl and her name is Mackenzie, I'm just like, go fuck yourself.
That's not her fault.
It's not her fault, but that name annoys me. You know, it's just annoying. I find that what's feminine about that name, Mackenzie? Who decided that was a girl's name? Why not call her McDonald? Hey, we're gonna decide all of a sudden. Hey, McDonald is now a girl's name. Every girl's now here is, some
Yeah.
bubbly, cute white girl. Hey, McDonald.
Don't get me started on names.
Yeah, fuck all
as like-
Mackenzies.
Well, that feels a little okay, slightly controversial. But my broader point is, whenever it's like, I'm going to say this controversial thing and it might cost me subscribers or followers. First of all, I hate the fact that people call them followers. But I mean, I know it's what they're called. I hate that because it just feels cultish. But it's like it's always something like I believe that people shouldn't drown kittens and puppies. Like, okay, so you're an average human being. It's there's so much to do. There's so much legitimate evil in the world to fight. There's so much need for real people doing real things. And these people just go out of their way and they're just milking these people. They're milking people for money. And you know what? To your point, why are the people, if you're giving somebody money, why are you giving it to them? Like, why are you falling for this? It's kind of obvious what they're doing most of the time. Maybe
they want their attention and gratitude. They want their attention and gratitude because if you see it, not to get too specific, but there have been some people in the past who felt like that they were owed something by the showrunner because of all the super chats that they had given,
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Hey, you're supposed to agree with me. You can't disagree with me. I've given you so much in super chats.
Yep. That has happened.
Yeah, it's happened. Actually, you know what? I'll confess. I did it once. It was a real shitty move. I was inebriated, but there was a time when I was getting really shitty and the show will remain nameless. All I gotta say, it's a bigger show and it's more concerning with UFOs and aliens. And I was a regular in that chat room, a regular patron, and I gave a lot of super chats. But do you know why I gave a lot of super chats? Because I got all this undeserved COVID money that I had no business receiving, but I just got it anyway because our government makes so much sense.
Oh, don't get me started on that.
So I was like, hey, I got all this money. Let's just give it out on super chats. And then one day I got kind of heated. Well, to be fair, it was because of the guest. All right. No shade on any of the hosts or anyone in the chat.
Yeah.
That guest annoyed me because what the topic was, it was like all about aliens and psychic shit and spirituality. And they had this dude come on and he was an expert in Buddhism. He was a white guy in his 50s wearing like some Chinese fucking shit. And he had like a long white ponytail. And he was talking about the psychic powers of being a Buddhist and reincarnation and nirvana and achieving like enlightenment and then using that as psychic fuel to communicate with the aliens. And I was,
I think I even know who you're talking about.
And I was up in the chat and I was just like, this is some cheesy ass, corny ass white boy Buddhism up right in here. Who the fuck is this guy? I just went off.
I may have even interviewed that guy on Daniela's show one time before. So yeah, I know. I
don't even remember that guy's name. He was just he was such a fucking white boy Buddhism. That's all it was, man. That's all it was. It was some California shit.
Yeah. Yep. And it's a great example, but it's exactly what it's just the Buddhist version of what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it was exactly that.
And I appreciated the bit that you were playing because it was holding a mirror up to what is actually going on. And the problem is, what bothers me is that so many people don't see that. Like, there's legitimate things going on in the world right now. And there are people out there trying to do real work. Again, right now, it's a golden age to learn whatever you want to learn. And there's people who've done real work out there. But then you have people like Billy Carson, and the ones who shall go unnamed, the people who've never had an original thought in their lives, and when they see, let's just say, I could not help but laugh at a particular individual who aped every single thing I was doing on my channel, even stole word for word a famous question that I have asked, and I was clearly the one who asked it, and he stole it word for his thumbnail.
Hey, that's the greatest form of flattery.
Oh, it is.
Yeah,
it is, right? And I'm like, don't get me wrong, it's like, okay, I get it, it's cool, like, that's fine. But again, you have these people who've never had an original thought in their head. They're not
I've had dudes actually steal my pickup lines, and I've witnessed them actually use that on girls, like at bars. I was like, "Are you serious right now?"
You're like, I'm standing right here.
I'm standing right here, man. But anyway.
To be fair, you did pick up those. You stole those pickup lines from someone else.
No, man, those were original. Those were original pieces right there.
Original.
Yeah, I had a whole strategy thing set up. I'll tell you about it later. That's a whole topic for another show. Anyway,
there you go. So you were just really mad that you were using it to pick up Mackenzie's. Let's be honest.
Really no, whenever I meet a Mackenzie, I just walk the other direction. By the way, I've never met like an Asian girl named Mackenzie. All I'm saying.
It's a very specific name. I'll say that.
Right.
Yeah. And so to Mr. Anderson 001's point, I'll put it up. I got the button. He said, there's a lot of New Age shamans that like to pretend they're like it's their psychic powers is the key to the universe. It's the same thing, right?
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Here's some shaman who's somehow found the mystic truth. Billy Carson.
Yeah.
I've discovered the truth with the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, and I know all these things. And the problem is there are some that are self-deceptive. And again, it's the Christians we're talking about. They're all the same thing. Are there some that are self-deluded? 100%. I tend to think a lot more of these people are just straight up scam artists, and they know that they're lying.
Well, it's like the ones who are okay, let's talk about the non-Christian scam artists, right? Mm-hmm. There are some scam artists in this field that aren't using the Christian gimmick, but like some people in the UFO field who are pretty much like might as well just say it, a psyop practically.
Oh yeah.
How are they any more or less full of shit than these people who like try to milk the whole cryptid Bible thing?
Oh, it's the same
just
thing.
A different flavor.
My favorite thing is I'll tell you something off air, but it's like you have these people who go around and they're like, oh no, I'm here it's all about science for me. I'm all about the truth. And then you find out it's like, but you're getting people to pay you to take you out into the desert where you fired lasers around in a circle. Like it's, and you're channeling the aliens. Like, come on, this is an old school charlatan, right? It's a seance with laser beams. That's all it is.
Yeah.
It's 100% what it is.
It's a sci-fi version of a seance.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
And the worst part is you friggin' know it. But people fall for it. But again, it goes back to people fell for seances. They fall for the psychic palm readers. They fall for the crystal balls. Again, I'm not saying magic isn't real. I'm the guy saying magic is real, but that stuff's fake. Like snake oil.
And guys, as the most powerful psychic in the entire paranormal cryptid field, all I can say is there are a lot of fake psychics out there. Trust me, because I'm the most powerful one.
Because you're the most powerful.
The most powerful one, I can rest assured. A lot of these people who claim psychic abilities are just, they're weak sauce, man. They're either frauds, or if they're not frauds, they're just, a lower level of psychic than I am.
Yeah.
They're white belts. They're green belts. I'm a 10th degree Dan black belt, baby.
Yeah. You really are.
Yeah.
And it's, and it which is how we know, right? And that's the thing. We know, and we respect that. We need that in our lives. But it's just, it's so frustrating because it seems like it should be easy, to see this stuff coming, and yet they're still there, right? But again, maybe that's the problem. It's a tale as old as time. You know, there's nothing new under the sun, and there is no new. Everything. These are all just the old scams with new makeup on, I guess.
Because what they're doing essentially is they're just telling their audience what the audience already wants to hear, right?
Yep.
It's just an echo chamber within an echo chamber within an echo chamber, right?
Well, and the thing is, people want to be lied to on some level, I think.
What that person is essentially doing is just basically telling them what they want to know about Bigfoot, right? They want to believe that Bigfoot are Nephilim because they want to believe that through their faith in the Lord and through Christ, they can defeat Bigfoot and Dogman, right? That guy is telling them what they already want to hear.
Yeah. Well, it makes them feel special. That's the thing is. Okay, I'll say it. I am legitimately worried about the mental health of a lot of people in this field. I don't think it helps a lot of people. There are people who I know for a fact who already have they're diagnosed as having schizophrenia. This is not some internet meme. Oh, I'm neurodivergent. Like, shut up, Rachel. Shut up, Mackenzie. These are people who are, who are on legit, like they need, and I'm like, guys, you got to get out of this field because the next thing you know, they're telling you stories about things that just flat out aren't real. They could not have happened. But like, no, it really, really happened, right? And I wish this was like one or two people. I've had a lot of people where it's like their participation in this field has hurt them physically, emotionally, psychologically. This is a dangerous field to be in general, right? Even if things are going right, it's dangerous. I've seen people who didn't have pre-existing mental conditions just freaking lose their minds. And it's because this is a dangerous place to be. And the problem is, I think a lot of people are coming into this looking for something. And they're looking for this thing to make them special. And I think that's why they want to put on the facade of Christianity. And so it's easy when there's that one guy who's sitting there telling you, again, doesn't matter if you get told, oh yeah, he's beating his wife and selling drugs and pimping out children. Nobody cares. It's like, no, he's telling me that I'm right, and he's validating my feelings. I hate to break it to you, the Bible ain't there to validate your feelings. Anyone who's running around validating your feelings probably has an ulterior motive. The Bible's here to tell you truth. A good friend will tell you the truth. Now, they may disagree with you. Like we disagree on a lot of things.
Yeah.
Straight up. Dex and I, Randy, we all disagree, right? And on a lot of different things, but we've never lied to each other about things. I mean, don't get me wrong, I lie to you a lot when you're like, that episode was funny, right? Yeah, no. I mean, but I mean, I'm doing this. I'm doing that for your feelings, right? That's a different kind of lying.
How dare you offend the most powerful psychic in this way, sir? How dare you?
Yes. Yeah, I'm worried. Yeah, it's just this field is dangerous. It's dangerous for a lot of reasons because, again, here's the problem: a lot of this is real. And the problem is everyone's like, oh, well, it's real. It'll be fine. No. You think the lore is real. There's a big difference here. And the problem is the lore that you're listening to is the lore that was created by somebody named Mackenzie 20 years ago, right? Some hippie wrote a book 20 years ago and everyone's pointing back to this book. It's like, guys, this is not what you think it is. None of this is what you think it is. You're pointing to books written 50 years ago or 100 years ago by people, half of them were just nuts. And I think people are playing with stuff they shouldn't be playing around with. And so the problem is, I think a lot of, again, self-deception, right? They don't want to believe that they've left the fold, but They
Yeah.
want to blend Christianity in with all of this, but so they're making a Christianity of their own making. Right? There's a difference between saying, okay, what does Scripture say? What did the authors of the, what do they have in their heads about the supernatural, about the way this works? That's one thing. Because again, my number one complaint has been that people have been running around rejecting the reality of the supernatural, right? Particularly in the church. That's been my number one complaint.
Yeah.
So I'm not over here saying, oh, it's all whatever science says. Again, that ain't my bag. No one's got, that you want to complain about modern science. That conversation starts right here and wraps around the block twice, but it starts here. So that's not what I'm saying. But what's happened is a lot of people are taking this and they're creating a new syncretic religion around Bigfoot and Dogman, and they want to have some way to still slap a Christian label on it. And so they're just going, like you said, they're going to find the people who are going to say what they want to say, what they want to hear. Tell them the truth they want to hear, because it makes them feel good. It makes them feel special.
It makes them feel empowered.
Yeah.
Because you hear people talking shit, be like, I ain't afraid of ghosts. If a ghost ever come into my room, I'll just say, I banish them in the name of Jesus. I'm like, oh, you got those kinds of anti-ghost powers? Oh, damn. You want to spend a night over in this fucked up house for? No? Okay. Sit the fuck back down.
Well, again, this is a conversation I've had with others off air. Yes, there are true Christians have dominion over things that you can't really be hurt. Again, what's the ongoing gag when I go up to Brown Springs? Things don't happen around me.
But that doesn't mean you're going to go marching into Eastern State Penitentiary and spending a night in the basement and being like, yeah,
Right. Because, again, there is a point of understanding, again, discernment, wisdom, saying, well, hold on, a lot of this works with authority.
Yeah.
And, you have these people like, well, I can just tell, again, yeah, the whole point is so much of this is, what's worse is so much of this is scripted. It's obviously fake. They're obvious. Here's the difference. Donny and I, it's obvious when we're doing kayfabe, right?
It should be.
It should be. It's
it
obvious
ought to be.
when it was a bit.
Yeah.
But then it's obvious when we drop. That's why I said let's drop the kayfabe for a moment.
Yeah.
It should be obvious that a lot of these channels, a lot of these people, pure kayfabe. It should be. It should be a lot more obvious than it is. And I guess the problem is, if they're telling you what
no, you know what it is. There's a term in pro wrestling. I don't know if I've told you about this one. There's kayfabe, and you know what marking out is, right? Marking out over the Undertaker means you're like die hard, like you think the Undertaker is real. A common expression in the pro wrestling world is people who mark out for themselves.
Oh, gotcha.
They buy their own gimmick.
That is, here's how I would say it. I'm buying your own gimmick. I like that. There's an artist. You'll know who I'm talking about. If you're into comics, you should know who I'm talking about. And I'd tell this to his face. It's because it's an honest critique. Frank Miller, the guy who created Sin City, he did The Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah.
Which revolutionized comics and how Batman and Superman interact, all of that, right?
300. Dude's amazing. There's actually a documentary going around that they did on him. It's called Genius. Look, I think the dude is a genius, right? He is legit. He was a huge influence on my life. However, what I will say, if you look at his artwork, you can tell in his writing, you can tell when he starts buying into his own hype. Yeah.
It gets like, I can literally tell you, like, everything after that yellow bastard in Sin City, but everything he does after that point, that was like the last genuinely good thing he did. Like, it's not that he didn't do other good things, but you can see where it starts his stuff goes real downhill, because he almost becomes a parody of himself. real fast because it's what he did. He bought into his own hype. You look at his earlier works, I can show you where he's looking at Neil Adams, or I can show you where he's looking at Will Eisner. I can show you when he's pushing himself in these other directions. But then it's like, right, like you can already kind of feel a little bit like he's found this definitive style and way of writing. But then everything after that point, it's like he's recycling himself, right? He's buying into his own hype.
Buying into his own gimmick.
And
marking out for himself. Yep.
I get that. I like the way you're saying.
There are definitely people in this field who have definitely marked out for themselves.
Yep.
Quite a bit.
And it's, again, I'd like to be able to say, oh, I don't care, just it is what it is. But the problem is I think it's genuinely hurting people. And I don't like people being taken advantage of, specifically in the name of my Lord and Savior.
Yeah.
That hurts, and it's frustrating because there's so much real in the world that needs to be dealt with.
Can I also add a little something? I'm going to say something a bit controversial and maybe a little too telling, but for the longest time, I was one of those people that was just in the chat. I didn't know any of these names or these people, like the circles, like the big names. Now that I've, kind of working my way up, I've met a lot of people in this field, right? Like genuine like authors and shit and showrunners, and one observation that I made ever since peeking behind that curtain, dude, there are a lot of like lonely, horny dudes in this field, aren't there? Lonely ass, horny dudes, man. There's a fuck ton of them. I'm like, oh, you guys act like all virtuous and shit and all wise on these shows in front of your fans. But at the end of the day, once you get to know them a little, all they are is just some fucking like middle-aged or over the middle age, lonely ass, horny dude.
It's every comic convention you've ever been to.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. I mean, it really is. Now, again, here's the problem. I've seen the same thing at sales conventions. So, I mean, yeah. What I did sales for FedEx office for a while after my comic book store died. That's, again, thanks, Obama. But it was, that sales convention. I'm like, wow, this is every, like, I kind of looked around. I was like, huh. I thought this whole, it was always like a movie thing. Like it's a trope. It's like, oh no, this is real. Yeah, it's kind of the same thing, dude. It's like it's every comic book convention I've ever been to. You're right. A lot of this, it's all kind of the same thing. It's very disappointing when you find out that a lot of people just aren't what they appear to be.
Yeah, it's just weird. The difference between this hobby or this fandom versus other hobbies or fandoms is that people's religious views get all tied up into it as well. Like, because when you're up in like the pro wrestling fandom or the video game fandom or the comic book fandom, everyone's got their own little personal religious views or spiritual views, but they're not like fucking spewing it all over the other fans at the convention,
Unless you're
the paranormal,
Jedi
cryptid shit,
believe in Jedi things. Yeah,
that's the only fandom where everyone gets all religious and shit and just spews that shit all over the place. It's the only one.
Well, so Tex years ago asked why, again, very early on after I got brought on, he asked why does so much of this go back to questions about God and religion and all this? I said, because it's the reason it keeps happening is the same reason I'm in this field. All of this is again, my little thing here. The entire reason I'm in this community is I think a lot of this stuff is the evidence that the Bible is true, right? Lots of ways we can parse that. But the point is, these are the abnormalities to the mainstream, right? If you're, I've talked about this a lot actually. Any model that any model can have a weird abnormality here or there, right? Model meaning idea about how things work. You can have an anomaly here and there, right? It's not really the end of the world. It's still largely functional. The problem is cryptozoology, the paranormal, all of this is, forbidden archaeology. These are the anomalies that show that the model doesn't work. That's the problem. The mainstream atheist, Darwinian, deep time model doesn't work with all of these anomalies. That's why religion has to be wrapped up in this, because it's religion that's telling you, hey, the world they're telling you, the world the politicians want you, the world that the banks and the tyrants want you to believe, that's not what the world is. That's the religion's trying to tell you what the world looks like. And so the reason this has to go towards religious, and again, that's why this stuff is important. I think the problem is it's treated like a fandom for so many people.
Yeah.
Essentially, it is just a fandom, and the problem is it's a fandom, but it's something that matters. This is something that absolutely matters because it is the evidence that the model doesn't work. It is the evidence that you're being lied to. Like I said, I've said this 1,000 times. I don't care what Bigfoot is. But I believe when we understand what the phenomena is, and we place it in and we put it in its place, it's just further evidence that this is not that the scripture is true. Because again, I think there's for reasons that are both publicly known and stuff I've seen privately, there is a physical hominid running around, but a lot of this stuff is supernatural. It just is. Right, all the living dinosaurs, all that's evidence that of Noah's flood. All of most true cryptids, meaning naturally occurring biological entities, they're just evidence of the flood. That's all it is. The supernatural stuff, it's evidence of the supernatural. That's all it's got to be. Because the world's here to tell you there is no supernatural. None of that's real. It's all in your head. But that's evidence that it is. It's all the reason this field matters is because it's telling us the world isn't what they want it to believe. And the problem is so many people are treating it like a fandom. And it's hurting, and it's legitimately hurting people when these scammers show up and they say things and they do things, and it's hurting people. And that's what really grinds my gears, to use the it really grinds my gears. I cannot do a Bostonian accent to save my life.
I remember one time I was talking with, I think it was you and Tex backstage. This was not on a show or anything. We were just, just talking like backstage or whatever. And I think we were talking about all the weird drama that happens in this whole scene. And I remember just kind of just sighing and being like, man, I thought when I first got into this whole scene, I thought people here would be smarter than this.
I have learned that people are just people. Barry points out that a lot of the writing communities, that's what I'm saying. And unfortunately, I've gotten a good look behind some political stuff too, again on the lower end, but like actual behind the scenes stuff, dude. As near as I can tell, it's all the same thing. It's all the same people. That's the bigger problem here. Is that, to your point, you'd think there'd be a lot of, no, it's really not. We never really leave high school, and that makes me very, very sad.
Yeah, I guess we in a few ways haven't really left high school either. We still watch Ninja Turtles.
Well, hold on. That's different, man. That's quality entertainment. My back reminds me that we've left.
We still read X-Men comics. Come on, who are we kidding?
Hold on. I haven't read a new X-Men comic in quite some time because that's a whole episode unto itself. Because the comics industry went nuts, and they embraced the woke. I'm enjoying going back and reading like older stuff. Hal Foster's Prince Valiant is one of those things that you need to actually experience because it's brilliant.
Let me ask you this question, Jason. Okay. Let's say you had to go Bigfoot or Dogman hunt on a Bigfoot or Dogman hunt, right? And I don't know, let's say like in Brown Springs, but we removed the variable of all the other reasons why you would bring a firearm, right? Such as like wild pigs or other people. Let's say we remove those from the equation, right? You go on a Bigfoot hunt where the only thing you're only going to encounter is a Bigfoot or a Dogman. All right, pretend like all wild pigs have been Thanos snapped out of here. Okay.
Okay.
Now,
I mean, that's really impressive, and there's a lot
but
of people who like that.
for the thought experiment.
I
Okay.
understand. Yeah, yeah.
Now, would you bring a firearm anyway, just in case with like Bigfoot or Dogman, or
Yeah.
B, not bring a firearm because you are protected in the Lord
Oh,
and
it's
you could just
still.
rebuke it in the
Oh,
name
I'd
of the
still bring a
Lord.
firearm.
Oh, you still
Well,
bring a
so
firearm?
yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Again, I don't look. I would prefer for Bigfoot to be accepted based off of other evidence than a body. But the
Hmm.
problem is, I know the fact is, it's still going to need a body. Also, I don't believe that necessarily Bigfoot's some harmless little thing hanging out there. We've seen there are accounts of them beating wild hogs to death.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't think that they're everyone's you know funny, cuddly friend. Again, I ain't worried about Dogman because that's clearly paranormal.
Whenever
And
I
that's
whenever I meet people who say, "Well, if I ever encounter Dogman, I'm just going to rebuke it in the name of the Lord," and then my first question is always, "But that's assuming Dogman knows English. What if
no,
Dogman doesn't know
so
English?" And then he'll be
well,
like,
so no,
"Wah,
no,
wah,
no,
wah,
no.
wah,
That
wah,
that's not
wah,
how
wah,
that
wah,
that's
wah,
not
wah."
how that works.
Dogman's
That's
like,
not how that works.
"What?"
Yep. No, that's not how that works. Again, here's the problem. If you're if you're do if you're right with God, a lot of that stuff doesn't
Hmm.
show up anyway. You're but again, Bigfoot on the other hand, again, the physical naturally occurring biological entity part, yeah, that I would never trust that not to go ape.
Hmm.
Just saying. But yeah, no, the spiritual world doesn't necessarily even work off of language anyway. I mean, it does work off of language, but not necessarily the way we think. Like it knows. It's about authority. So yeah, I'm not worried about. Again, there's a reason the weird stuff doesn't happen around me. Sorry, that's
Hmm.
them's the breaks, kiddo.
Do you did you watch the original War of the Worlds, right? The movie?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. And you watched the new one.
Yes.
Okay, I've seen them both. We've both seen them both, right? Okay.
Oh, there's a lot of okay. So there's a lot of different versions of them, but I know that
I'm talking about the
the
original one.
original,
Yeah.
and then the one with Tom Cruise. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I thought the funniest bit in the original one was
Hmm.
when the aliens first show up, the tripods. And
Hmm.
you got that one scene where like the priest is like slowly walking up to the tripod holding like a
Hmm.
crucifix and a Bible. He's like, "What? Actually, you try to rebuke that in the name of Jesus. You serious right now?" And the tripods just
Hmm.
atomize that dude.
So yeah, so here's okay, great, and this probably requires its own show.
Yeah.
But I'll say this: a lot of that stuff has been put in there as straight up psyops
Hmm.
for what's coming. Now, again, I'm not saying that the writers had that in mind, right? But the reason that's
Hmm.
the common trope, right? How often is the trope of the alien shows up or the man from the future shows up or here's and there's some priest or a pastor running around saying, "Oh, it's of the devil," and of course they're blown away or they're eaten alive or whatever, right? The Mist. Remember in the Mist where the woman's like, "We got to sacrifice the kid," right?
Oh,
But
wait.
oh,
Can I just
yeah,
bring up the shittiest portrayal of Christians ever in a sci-fi movie ever?
okay,
Contact.
yes, yes,
That
don't
dude
even get
who
me.
like blew up the first ship all in the name of like his religious beliefs. I was like, wow,
Yeah,
they made Christians look like real shitheads in this movie.
well, they do, right? That's
Yeah.
the Freedom Tunes actually did a really funny bit on that. But yeah, that's the whole thing. It's like the reason that trope exists,
Hmm.
in my opinion, is again because it is the psyop. It is
Yeah.
we need to push people away from Christianity, away from truth. And so here's the psyop. Here's how we're going to make you think that this is what they believe. Like I said, Freedom Tunes has a really, really funny bit on that, where again it's the same thing where it's like we're going to create this crazy idea. So much again, we've had this conversation a lot, so I won't go too far into it, but so much of how we perceive about history is and what people do or think is just based off of movies and television shows. These things are written
It's
with
pretty
agendas.
shocking how little people know about history sometimes.
Or how people lived or any of that. But again, a lot of this
Yeah.
stuff is written with agendas. Like, and again, it's not necessarily that the government paid them to write it. They just had it's like, well, here, let me make fun of Christians. Let me make fun of this stuff, right? That's very deliberate. It is deliberately put in there in order to laugh at this idea. The problem is it is probably much truer than people realize. Like I said, if it is a supernatural entity, I just don't interact with that because of my faith. It's not because
they leave you alone because of your faith.
Yes,
Okay,
straight up.
because that's what you and I have in common. Because they generally leave me alone too. But that's because of my most
because
powerful psychic.
you're powerful psychic.
Yeah. We have that in common, dude.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
What was I saying? There was something I was going to mention. Oh well, it is what it is. But yeah, like that's not a coincidence. It is a psyop, and that's probably something we can talk about in greater detail more. But the whole point is, it is a continuation of this thought, and the problem is a lot of this is breaking down. But this is why everyone's there's such a resurgence of the supernatural and the spiritual right now around the world, is because people have finally it doesn't hold up anymore. Right. It doesn't hold up. None of this is holding up, and so that's why
the standard model is appearing to crack.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
On that note, I'm glad you're back to being a.
Yes, I have converted back to the Church of Dogman.
Yeah.
You Christians are off the hook.
Thank you.
Christianity is at large better now that Donny Cho has left.
It's true. It's 100% true. Yeah,
it's true.
So I guess, and again, I know that your viewers are definitely a cut above, right? They're smarter than the average bear. But guys, let's just be honest out there. When we see fake Christians doing fake Christian things,
and I'll be real with y'all, folks. When people ask me legitimately, okay, I'll say legitimately. When people ask me, Donny, what are your actual views on Christianity? Like, to be honest, I identify. Well, I wouldn't even say identify, but I guess I would consider myself a Buddhist because that's the philosophy or the worldview I try to espouse and live by. However, I think everything in the Bible is true.
I'm working on it.
That's that. So yeah, I think everything in the Bible is true, but I don't consider myself a Christian. So that's the honest answer. So that's why, I could still respect Christians and have conversations and agree with 99% of everything they say. I think everything's in the truth. Is in there. I don't think anything in the Bible really contradicts anything that I know of Buddhism or vice versa. So I have no reason to think it's not true.
There you go.
So there you go.
I'm working on them.
And that's why Jason and I are friends. Because otherwise, if we weren't friends, we would destroy one another.
It's probably fair.
Like Superman and Darkseid or Doomsday. I would be his Doomsday.
Let's be honest. You're probably Mixoxplodialic at
all best. Right, I'll downgrade to a General Zod.
You're maybe a Non or an Ursa.
Don't make me Bizarro.
No. Maybe a Mixoxplodialic. That's where we'll go with.
How about
that's only because you're magical?
Okay, how about this? You're Superman, then I would be Omni-Man. No, that's the same universe. No, General Zod. I say General Zod.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'll let it slide.
I'll let General. I'll be the General Zod.
All right.
I guess with that we're out. Oh, and by the way, in case you were wondering, if you do meet Bigfoot, the key is not to rebuke it in the name of Jesus. It might not know English. It might not even be able to hear you. But what will work? Thermite tip crossbows. That's the actual way. So
that feels like a lot of work, but okay.
I mean, I'm not saying praying to Jesus would hurt or nothing. I'm just saying if you want to pray to Jesus and use thermite tip crossbows, I think you know. That's how you do it.
I mean,
That's how Bigfoot would be dispatched.
308 would probably do a little bit better job, and a lot be a lot
No,
easier to
thermite.
carry.
Fire is their weakness. Years of research.
Fire's everything's weakness.
Yes, thermite.
So
you want a localized burn? You don't want to use a Molotov cocktail because then you'll burn the whole forest down. It's got to be thermite.
Wait. Are you? Hold on. If I'm Superman and you're Zod, I still think you're mixed. Are you telling me that Bigfoot is now Martian Manhunter? And that's why I'm here.
Yeah.
Night, everybody.
Good night, folks.